Welcome to the Eclectic Gamers Podcast. Today is Sunday, September 19th. This is episode 176. My name is Tony.
My name is Dennis. We're back. We said we would be back in a couple of weeks.
We are back.
And I want to extend an apology to our iTunes listeners because we struggled mightily, and by we I mean SoundCloud, our podcast host, with getting the RSS feed accepted by iTunes. I have, to my knowledge, never had any sort of significant, like beyond a day, issue with iTunes. But we had a number of people write in complaining that the episode wasn't showing. And I was extra confused because I don't use Apple products. But I do have iTunes installed on my PC to test it because it is the number one source that people pull from when it comes to podcasts. And so directly looking at the RSS feed through the iTunes app, it was fine. You could see all the episodes. But apparently, I'm assuming how the app works for people who are actually using it on their phone, the latest episode wasn't showing. And what I ultimately was able to find was if I loaded our podcast list of tracks in the store, the iTunes store, that's where I could see it was missing. So I wrote into iTunes, and they're telling me ultimately they did get back with me after a few days, and they're like, okay, there's a problem with your feed, and they have me use a little feed checker, and I'm like, okay. So I contact SoundCloud, and after I send the message to SoundCloud, I actually saw at the top in their help section, it wasn't on all the sections, but in the help section, they had a banner up at the top saying, we are having issues with iTunes, and we are working with them to resolve the problem, working with Apple. And SoundCloud did get back with me, and they're like, yes, not all of their shows, but a bunch of them. Something went wrong, and the RSS feed wasn't reading right when it came to Apple anymore. And so they were having to work with Apple to try and figure out what the problem was. And it took like a week and a half before we were back up. Our latest episode is one of our worst performing ones, incidentally, last I looked. Probably because none of the iTunes people could play it. However, multiple ones have contacted me separately saying, oh yeah, we see the episode now. So.
But it's too late. We're not going to listen.
Yes,
to
we're
it.
not. That's right. I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'll just listen to the next one. Was that one really that good? I mean, I named it Survivor. It makes it sound like it's a reality show.
I'm a survivor.
Yeah. That was probably exactly what I was thinking of.
I figured.
Actually, I think it was because we ranked the survivability of the companies. Might have been what I actually did. That was interesting. I didn't have any complaints to it, which I'm a little surprised. Actually, we had an email. We'll touch on it in the pinball section that tied to one of them. And I won't go through the entire email, but it does raise some interesting points that I thought the listeners might like to know. But in terms of what's been going on, other than my work with iTunes, season 2 of Fall Guys has started. And I finally gave them some money to get the season pass because, of course, I have to play Meku Meku Dress Up. And the new season let me be a xenomorph.
Oh, isn't that special?
And since I didn't buy Alien Pinball because all it does is fall apart, this is what I've done is I have and I did yesterday, I earned it. So now I look like I think I earned it. I might still be short the head. No, I think I have this. Just being the butt part of the alien isn't scary. You gotta have the head part.
Yeah.
I was an adorable being with a pointy nail tail, which, I mean, you might think that sounds horrifying, but it's really more cute than anything. So.
Even with the head, it's probably more cute than anything.
No, it's terrifying.
Yeah, sure it is.
Terrifying. So what have you been doing?
It is Alien 3 level of terrifying.
Oh, I was just thinking about that this morning. Oh,
you were thinking about Alien 3 this morning?
I was.
What even caused that?
I was thinking about a wristwatch channel that was is doing a lot of. They seem to be trying to do like commercials for watch companies, and I'm not sure they're very good. But then I thought, but the guy who directed Alien 3 got his start in commercials. That was what I was thinking. And I thought, that didn't turn out very good either. But then I believe he's since gone on and had some very successful films. But I don't remember what any of them are called because all I care about are aliens.
Of course you do. So I have done
so many drugs.
I have done all of the drugs. There's this new drug that they've got me on. It's not new. I've been on it forever. So, no, but really it's been, I've had very little overall free time. I've been extremely busy between, cross-country meets and doing parent cross-country stuff and everything else. So instead of talking about the stuff that I've not done during this thing, I want to use this instance to resurrect a segment.
Oh.
I'm bringing back for just one short little blip, the tabletop segment.
Okay.
Because I read something interesting. Wizards of the Coast has filed an injunction against TSR.
Okay, so now Wizards of the Coast, it's been a while. Now they own Magic.
They own Magic.
And don't they also own D&D?
Yes, because in 1997, they bought all of TSR from TSR, including all of the TSR rights. So a new company decided to form and call itself TSR using the original TSR logo and some of the stuff. But it's okay because Gary Gygax's son is part of their team. So that means it's okay. They can do whatever they want.
Okay.
And they decided they were going to put together a new edition of the old Star Frontiers RPG that Wizard owns from their purchase of TSR. And Wizard actually still sells with the old TSR logo through digital means, through places like DM Guild and RPG Drive-Thru and all that stuff. It was originally published in 82. Well, the smaller company decided they wanted to revive it. So the first thing they tried to do at one point was sue Wizards for the rights to it because Wizards wasn't using those rights well enough.
Did they have a...
That got dismissed.
I was going to say, unless there is some sort of contractual provision, I don't know how you can be like, Tony, I don't think you're using your Goldwing well enough. I'm thinking about suing you so I can have it.
Yeah, that got dropped, and then they got countersued for the continued fraudulent use of the TSR logo.
All right, I'm not surprised Wizard would do that.
And then they're still continuing, and they were using Indiegogo to fund this new Star Frontiers, New Genesis is what they're calling it. So TSR, I'm going to call it New TSR to tell the difference from the old TSR.
Yeah, thank you. Because when you first said it, I was like, I guess I don't remember what happened with TSR, but I know Wizards bought stuff.
They bought, yes.
A long time ago.
TSR in
like
the
when we
90s.
were in high school.
Yeah, in the 90s. Late 90s. It was like 96 or 97. They bought TSR.
I have my D&D second edition books down in the basement that are still TSR branded because those were from the early 90s.
Yes. And the thing is they're still selling, Wizards still sell stuff TSR branded.
Because they own it.
Yeah. They just digitized it and they released, you can still purchase and download the stuff digitally of a lot of the old stuff and it's still TSR branded.
Okay.
But, they're using Indiegogo to push this whole new frontier, the Star Frontier New Genesis thing. And then their playtest material leaked. In July, and it started appearing on social media and in forums and stuff. And apparently it is, and I quote, the character creation is explicitly racist, bigoted, anti-trans, and alt-right. Just in the character creation. And they're using logos owned by a TSR, or owned by Wizard. They're using the TSR logo. And they're using stuff that is all owned by Wizards, because Wizards of the Coast bought it. And they're just saying, no, but it's us. It's okay. We can use it because, we're bringing it back. So Wizards slapped an injunction that's like, no. Here is all this stuff from websites where people are like, Wizards is putting this out? It's like, no. Wizards is not putting this out, but you're using our information, our stuff that we have the rights to basically try and slide in like you're a bigger player than you really are.
Weird. This is really weird.
It is insane. It is, because what it is it's a production company that is a combination. Let me see. I have the names of the companies real quick. Of a couple companies. It is Justin Lanasa and the Dungeon Hobby Shop Museum in Washington State. And they're working, along with the Gary Gygax's son, Ernie Gygax, Jr. And they're most people just call them New TSR at this point. But yeah, no, they're basically trying to resurrect an old TSR property,
but it's
claiming that they're right, and they're claiming that they're TSR.
But it doesn't. I struggle for words. The audacity of it is amazing to me. Wizard is not like some little nobody entity that would obviously they're not letting it slide. I just don't, again, I hate to use the word audacity again, but I just don't understand the audacity of them thinking, especially after Wizard has responded, that they could like get away with it. It's like some hobby thing where it was flying under the radar, some fan project. That's one thing, but I don't understand the logic where they're like, well, we have the original creator's son, therefore we win. I don't know. And they're still plugging away.
Oh yeah, and they're still pushing it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Wizards filing claims it wants to stop any further work or distribution of Star Frontier's new Genesis, including playtesting, because it bears 2 logos legally belonging to Wizards of the Coast. It further states the public may mistakenly believe Wizards of the Coast endorses Star Frontier's reprehensible content, which would do irreparable harm to the company's recent efforts to foster a more inclusive environment around its products.
Right, and Wizard has been taking a lot of action, especially in Magic, where there have been some issues, to clarify that it's to be an inclusive space for gamers.
Correct, and they've also done major changes in D&D itself, such as they've removed the inherent alignments of certain races. Like Drow are no longer evil.
Right. Because back in my books, they were. They're like, if you're a Drow, you got to align to evil. You have to be
aligned to evil. Yeah, they're removing that. Most Drow might still be evil.
Right.
But for some reason, they decided making like the one dark-skinned race all evil was a bad look in this day and age. So, yeah, no, I saw that. Neither company has put out any like public statements other than the legal filings.
Are we really calling new TSR a company?
They literally are. They are listed, I kid you not, as TSR LLC. That is what they are calling themselves.
Wow. So they are a company. Okay.
Yes. They are TSR.
Or at least they call themselves that.
Right.
I'm assuming they probably filed in Washington or something to be a legal, actual limited liability company.
Correct. So, yeah.
Jeez, oh my gosh. I
mean,
wow.
Wizards is fully owned by Hasbro. It's not like you're talking a small company with no money.
No, this ain't pinball. And people don't understand, like Wizard, this is huge. These are not, even if they weren't owned prior to being owned by Hasbro, they are huge.
Yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. I almost forgot going through these notes. In some of the playtest stuff that was leaked, that got out there and started all of this, there was a specific thing on the playtest material that specifically explicitly stated that it was not to be given, released, or handed to anyone associated with Wizards of the Coast or Hasbro.
This reminds me. Have you heard of Vanta Black? Okay. So for listeners that aren't aware, Vanta Black is like the blackest black that has ever been created as a color. Like, correct. It's practically fully devoid of all light. It's interesting to look at.
Yeah, it's weird. It absorbs like 99 point some odd levels of nines.
It's starting to show up in watches now, but I was aware of it before that because it's also super toxic.
Yeah,
to create it. Well, the guy who made it is like charges some exorbitant licensing fee for people to have access to use. You're not allowed to use Vanta Black unless you get permission, and it's overpriced. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So another artist who has hated a lot of the things this art guy who made Vanta Black has done, made his own Ultra Black. It's not as dark as Vanta Black. It's close though. And anyone's allowed to use it except the creator of Vanta Black. And if you take this one, are expressly prohibited from giving or selling it to the creator of Vanta Black. He's the one person in the entire world who's prohibited from using it. Which, of course, someone gave it to him, and he posted a picture of him using the false Vanta or whatever it was called. But the point was, in that case, this guy was like, I'm getting at this guy. No, you're a predatory artist, and I hate you. So you don't get to use my alternate black. And then this sort of reminded me of that. Like, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to tell Wizards. Wizards is not. This is the no Wizards allowed. It's like the no girls allowed side of no Wizards.
See, when I said, I thought more of it was like when siblings get in a fight and one of them gets hurt. It's like, don't tell mom. It's okay. It's okay. I'll make this all okay. Don't tell mom. I'll give you my stuff. Don't tell mom.
Yeah. I'll set the bone. Don't worry.
Tell mom.
Don't tell mom. I'll set it. You'll heal okay. I was in Boy Scouts. I know what I'm doing. All right. Well, that was really interesting. Thank you for bringing back tabletop.
Yeah, I saw that. Article earlier this week, and I was just like,
you'll have to update as we learn more.
Yeah, like I said, nobody that I've seen any articles. I read 4 or 5 articles on it. And they're all basically the same because all they have is the injunctions and filings.
Right, just the
because nobody said
filings,
nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody goes like hyper in depth. We're like they printed out, went through and highlighted all the good parts, then took pictures of them and posted them on Twitter.
Okay.
So
I like it when people do that. That's a little bit like that Blueberry Johnson detail on the deep root stuff that shows up on Pinside. Yeah, I get those filings. Well, moving into pinball now from our intro. Thank you for that. That was much more interesting than anything else I could have said.
My life is boring.
But and unfortunately, I have a correction to open with in the pinball section. Not the iTunes thing. That's not a correction on our part. That was just a reality. In the last episode, this actually came up on Pinside, so I want to announce the clarification here because I was incorrect in something I had stated on the last episode, which was when we were doing our Survivor tournament of predicting how well companies would do.
Our correction is we predicted how well they would do, and then this company failed.
Yeah, no. Right.
We ranked them as number 6.
Projections and analytical allegations on the Eclectic Gamers podcast are not guaranteed to be truthful or accurate. Likewise, don't believe everything you hear on Rumor Corner while I'm throwing things out there. Just letting you know. So during the discussion about Pinball Brothers, I had mentioned that I had a source years ago with Deeproot who had contacted me, who had said that they had been in talks with Pinball Brothers, where Pinball Brothers was trying to sell the Playboy license to Deeproot for $75,000. It's the amount that I was wrong on. I actually went back and found the text message I got, which was in early May 2018. And actually, Pinball Brothers wanted $125,000 for Playboy. So I misremembered the number. In addition, on the episode, I said that they wanted $500,000 for Queen. Actually, in the text message, I was told they wanted over $500,000 for Queen. So that number was still what I actually remembered it. It's just, I don't know if they actually said I want 500,000 or if they wanted like 550,000 or what. But, and then we didn't discuss this on the episode, but I'll just throw it out there because I'm rereading this whole text message chain that I had from 2018. And at the time, this representative of Deeproot told me they were budgeting $85,000 per game in development costs, which I think maybe they went over, but I don't know if we count that as development costs because the amount of money they burned was so high. But anyway,
that might have just been the cost for what do you call it? Espresso.
Yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that's just how much they thought at the time they were doing so many non-licenses that it was going to be the times of the developers, times of the coders, times of the engineering. But anyway, that's all in the past. Let's look to the past yet again while also looking to the future. I think the main thing for us to talk about in pinball this time, Tony, is James Bond and Stern Pinball. Now, I thought we would actually be discussing the full reveal, and things have happened. So, most of our listeners who are pinball people are probably aware of this, but here's your crash course in what's been going on with James Bond Pinball, because we don't have everything I want to talk about, but I think we got enough that we can have at least a little bit of an interesting conversation.
Yes.
So, James Bond was supposed to be revealed back on Tuesday at this point last week. And this has been, and I've been in this hobby, Tony, for over 10 years at this point. I'm counting being in the hobby the moment I actually acquired my first game. I have never seen Stern have such an embarrassing launch in this entire period. I was trying to think, what was the last, what would I have said their last really bad launch was? Probably Batman 66 when they put it out publicly and you couldn't even play it. But I understood the logic that I've heard why that might have been the reasoning. This, oh my gosh. So, all right. last Tuesday, September 13th. That's supposed to be the official reveal. A week before that, they dropped their teaser trailer. It doesn't show any of the game, but plays the James Bond theme, says shaking soon, shows the Stern logo, shows a little white dot floating around before it forms into the gun barrel. Just, very, very simple trailer. But that's what they normally do, is they put out a teaser. The game is then sent over to the United Kingdom. And I've heard different things exactly what happened, but there was a show. I think it's like the UK IAPA. So it's like an amusement operator show sort of thing. Anyway, so the games are there. Some of these James Bond games. And I'm assuming the plan was Stern was going to do the reveal on Tuesday, the 13th. And then they'd be able to unveil it for people to actually experience, look at, whatever, in the United Kingdom, which, James Bond, United Kingdom, obvious tie, da-da-da. Well, someone affiliated with the event took photographs of the James Bond game. Now, originally, my impression was they'd actually rolled out and put the games on the floor at the convention on the Monday, September 12th. Mm-hmm. So the day before the reveal was supposed to happen. And I thought, that's a pretty big mistake. But then I heard that the photos were actually taken over the weekend when the games first arrived, and the person who took them was affiliated with the event. And in fact, there's a UK pinball forum, and one of the people there admits that he is the one who took the photos. And I believe he was like a show organizer in some capacity. Who he is
and he admitted, impressive.
Yes. Well, he took the photos for like promotional purposes, he didn't reveal them. He didn't reveal them publicly. My understanding of the chain of events is there was someone else on his team or associated with some of the events that were going to happen in the UK. He did give that person those photos, who I think that person had also already seen the games. Because my impression, again, I may be wrong, apologies if I'm incorrect on this, was it sounded like he was going to be doing something later after the reveal. Like my impression was interviewing George Gomez, the designer, but it sounded like he was doing some sort of interview, and I'm assuming it was with Gomez. Well, that person, again, on the forum, admits he shared the photos. I don't know with how many people. The way the post was phrased, it sounded like multiple people, and one of those people started to just like leak it all over the place. And I read in another post from someone that this person like tried to claw that back after they were contacted, or it was like, this stuff can't go out yet. It's the internet. That's not how this works. So the point is, someone took photos, shared the photos, and that person then shared the photos more. And then at that point, you've lost control of the narrative, and the photos are now out there. So, okay. So the photos are out there. And from what I've been hearing is the licensor was pissed. Not so much Stern, but the licensor, who I believe is Danjek LLC. That's the holding company that controls the trademarks and copyright for Bond.
Mm-hmm.
And from what someone had told me, they're very, very protective of the license just in general. And so they were really upset over the leaks, coupled with there's already a high level of discomfort with all this going on while the mourning period for the Queen is happening.
Correct.
So the event, the trade show has still been going on while there are people lined up for 30 hours to stand in front of the casket of the Queen. But because of this, Stern's like, okay, we're going to pull the game from the floor. It's not going to be shown at all. So it's not going to appear at the show. Stern's booth was still there. They had, I think I saw a photo with other games. I think Mandos were there and stuff. So like they didn't remove their presence from the trade show, but Stern then puts out a public announcement that says, because of out of respect for the passing of the Queen, the reveal was going to be delayed by a week. And so there was a countdown clock on Stern's Insider website, because they're selling a few of the limited editions directly to the like the paid Stern Insider Connected people are allowed to have the ability to buy direct, a few of them. So they reset the clock or added 7 days to the clock on that. So all that happens. Then Friday, September 16th, 007store.com, which is a James Bond online store, inadvertently, apparently, releases and then later removes the images of the pro and premium models of the game. Now, up until this point, the only images that are floating around all the way from this Monday period through Friday are those cell phone photos that were taken by the people associated with the UK event.
Yeah, the potato phone photos.
Right. I've seen worse. They weren't the worst photos in the world, but they're not great angles. People are, of course, trying to dissect them. And already, well, we'll get into the reaction. So, all right. So now 007store.com releases like playfield photos, the side shots where you see the cabinet translite sort of images and stuff. And I have those in our internal show notes. So Tony's able to see these now in terms of those are all 007 store photos, purportedly. I pulled them off of a forum, but so those go out and those get removed. Now, in between these two events happening, at some stage, Stern changes the reveal date again. So instead of Tuesday, it's now supposed to be Thursday.
Makes sense.
So they ended up delaying it by 9 days rather than 7 from when it was originally supposed to be revealed.
It's because of the funeral.
Because of the funeral. I'm sure. So before we go into talk about what the game looks like, I think I'd like to know what your impressions are of the reveal process. Do you feel that I've been fair in my assessment that this is, at least as far back as I know, the worst reveal I have ever seen Stern do?
Yeah, easily the worst reveal I've seen from Stern. Specifically, I've seen worse reveals from other people, most likely. But I think...
we'll be talking about Spinal Tap later, don't you worry.
But I think that I'm not sold that this was 100% on Stern. I think Stern got caught up in a weird situation. My guess is that with the ties, the classical ties to everything, that somebody told them, hey, we can't do this. This isn't acceptable. I don't know if it was the license holder or what, or somebody just got a bright idea that, hey, since we're going to reveal at this show that's in Britain, maybe we shouldn't do that. But this definitely feels like a very last minute, unexpected change and the kind of mistakes you expect to see out of something like that.
Okay. I agree with a lot of what you've said. Not everything in that chain of events is, in my view, Stern's fault. It's not Stern's fault that the 007 store inadvertently released the images on their website. In the defense of the store, they thought it would be for sale by now.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is also, I think if it wasn't for the cell phone image leak and then that leak, I don't think it would be seen as nearly as much of a debacle. I
agree. But that's where, when I think about the launch being a mess, because obviously the death of the Queen has complicated things. Stern is an American company. I get that they probably went in not thinking about like if we have a former president die, we don't shut down reveals and stuff. It's just different. It's obvious. It's different for a variety of reasons. But where I do hold them responsible is how they've responded given the cell phone photo leak. No, they are not the leak. But the moment those games were shipped out of the factory, they knew, or they should have known, they no longer had control over the reveal narrative. Not completely. So no, I don't think Stern leaked the photo. Obviously, we know the people have admitted who are the source of the photos that they are the source of the photos. But the issue is those photos went out there. The licensor got mad. Stern could have delayed talking about the pricing and putting the game for sale. The decision to not put out the official photos was a mistake.
But was it their choice to make is the question.
They already had a scheduled date for the reveal.
Correct.
So I do think they had the choice. There was already an agreement. They have pivoted for some reason. the game wasn't going to not be sold because of the Queen's death. Like they have a signed agreement. Dan Jack or whoever is not going to be able to come in and say, you know what? You're changing the reveal date now. It's like, no, we already agreed on a reveal date. Not revealing it in the UK, I get it. Putting out the images online and not putting it up for sale was an option. Instead of letting crappy photos circulate, that has made the game look bad.
That's what they should have done.
So that was I could see where they'd be like, no, we wish we wouldn't have done it. There's just a variety of other things. The Queen had died, I believe, over 48 hours before the games were going to be on the floor.
Right.
Like, why did it take them this long to make that? If Dan Jack was as on top of this as everyone says, and as protective as everyone says, and only got upset after the leak, like, why wasn't the decision already made? We cannot reveal. She's been dead several days. This wasn't like a surprise death in the sense that before that day, the photos came out, everyone knew she was dead.
Right.
By a couple days. That's the part I struggle with. So
yeah, and the answer is, I don't know. And I don't know what they're,
I could see that maybe that they still ended up sending the games out there, but instead of like getting them set up and like, everyone else was already closing stuff.
Right. No,
I don't understand. I just don't. And that's where some of it's probably American ignorance on versus their customs regarding that. But once again, most of the time when there's been a leak on Stern stuff, the images are like out a day before.
Right.
But when you've now decided you're not going to do the official release for another week, just to let bad images fester, I just think it was stupid.
No, I think the correct answer in something like that is always to drop your good ready high quality images. I think that's the best way to preempt stuff like that.
Because the game was already announced. The teaser trailer had already gone out.
Correct.
We know they've got Bond. You could still refuse to sell. I thought that was the main thing was like, the Crown is not filming during the period of mourning. Okay. Yeah. You will not sell James Bonds during the period of mourning. That doesn't mean you can't put the photos out.
Right. But I don't know exactly what their license with the license holder is.
I don't.
And what the rules are. Or what there's just no way to know.
But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there's not a provision that explained what they were gonna do if the Queen died. I'm gonna go ahead and venture a guess that the license didn't account for
You're
that.
right. And I'm guessing there's not a provision, but my guess is that there probably is a provision that gives the original license holder a fair amount of say in stuff. Mm-hmm. And they probably just went full stop. We demand full stop.
Okay.
They might not have thought about it, but I think it's dumb. I think the full stop is dumb. Mm-hmm. With the second pictures leak, they needed to drop high quality.
Well, and
that's the correct answer.
And I could totally understand that the license holder could have started making all sorts of demands. Here's my read. It could be wrong. Okay. But here's my read. My read is Stern didn't push back on any of it.
Oh, I don't think
they just rolled over.
I think
like they always do. They always seem like they just don't really care much about leaks. And maybe they don't need to because it's like, you know what? If the game flops, we'll just sell more Godzillas.
That's right.
So it could be that. It looked super amateur to me.
I don't think you're wrong. I think you're exactly right on.
So that's all I'm saying. Does it ultimately hurt them? I don't know. So
unlike most of the other people in the pinball business, Stern can have a flop and not care.
I mean, they can survive flops, probably multiple flops, but it's so funny because we had just done our episode on survivability, and it was always Stern has always been the only. Different companies have different strengths, but Stern has always been the only company of all of them that I have felt looks professional. This did not look professional.
No,
this looked like we don't know what we're doing. We're not paying enough attention. Like we're not factoring in. Oh well, wait. When's the day of the funeral? Like that's like this stuff was no.
We're gonna push it back a week, and then
we gotta push it back another 10 days. And we're not gonna put out the official photos. We're gonna have the leaked photos. Oh wait, no. Now the James Bond store got to put up the photos for hours or whatever happened.
Right.
Now they're out there. At least now they're out there. Meanwhile, on Pinside, there are people that are like thinking this is. I do not understand it. They're like thinking this. There's a subset of pinball people that think Stern deliberately does these leaks. Like this is some sort of big brain play. I'm like, guys, Stern having potato cam photos coming out is not a big brain play.
No. I can understand the concept that Stern deliberately does the leaks where you kind of get a feel for what game is coming or what the next game or the net, or how sometimes you get the, it's like, rumor is the next game is going to be blank. I 100% understand the thought that Stern does that kind of leak, because I can totally see it. A leak like this with those potato pictures, no.
If you want to argue a big brain leak, I would say, I still don't think they did it, but it would have made sense for them to go and say, "Hey, 007 store, could you please accidentally let the good photos come out so that we could displace the bad ones?" That I could understand.
I don't think that's what happened.
No.
But I can totally see that.
Doing that, and the reason why I don't think it happened is, doing that, I think then all you end up having is, that works to Stern's advantage, is Dan Jack then gets mad at the 007 store.
Right. My guess is...
Who needs the license longer? Because what does Dan Jack control beyond James Bond? I'm not aware of anything. So after this run, does Stern need this relationship with this licensor? 007 store definitely does.
Right.
We know they do.
My guess is that the 007 store update release was something that was probably programmed, had everything there, and was slotted into place with a countdown timer to its go live time.
Right.
And in the midst of everything, everyone forgot about it.
Yeah.
That's exactly
it's the most logical, clear thing that you would expect a website to do. But anyway,
because these websites do not have some dude who's throwing all of this together and then hitting go live. This stuff is thrown together.
Now, on one of the other companies, we had that happen, someone was going and making that, and someone found the
professional companies.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Do everything on the back end way ahead of time, and it automatically goes live at the time it is supposed to go live.
Well, enough about the reveal. Let's talk about the game. Because
this can't be any more of a cluster than the reveal.
Right. So we have, and I've put in our internal show notes, I've given you one. I don't know if I pulled the pro or the premium playfield up, but I've given you one shot of the playfield. And
it's the pro because it's got flat plastics.
Okay. And then I've also got you the cabinet and translite imagery for the pros and the premiums. Tony, what are your initial thoughts?
Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad.
What, all of it, or
specifically, I hate the cab art.
Okay.
I actually kind of appreciate the premium. Is it the premium?
The premium's the blue one.
Okay, never mind. I appreciate the bright yellow.
Okay. The pro, the Dr. No Pro.
I appreciate the yellow because I like yellow.
I've seen a lot of people go, there's a lot of yellow. It reminds me of Silver Slugger.
It does. But it really looks and feels like everything is 100% just, here's some movie posters. Let's tag movie posters.
Which is apparently what they did.
And it doesn't look good, in my overall opinion. And I'm not sold that in this day and age, the side cab arts on Dr. No was the right choice. And the you only live twice side cab art is really...
I like that one because he's there with his arms crossed holding the gun and not driving the little vehicle he's in.
The little gyrocopter thing, which, as I recall, was a poster.
Sure.
But it's just...
But we want more realism in today's world.
We do.
I
and
agree.
the back glass on that one is just...
Oh, it's very busy.
Garbage.
The Thunderball thing, I think. It kind of reminds me of Thunderball, but maybe it's still more of the you only live twice.
Yeah, it says you only live twice.
I don't know. I'm pretty zoomed out in my photos. I agree. Art wise, there have been some people that like that it's throwback art to the poster style. I'm going to go ahead and guess that this is probably heavy license restriction sort of stuff going on. I don't think the art is at all impressive. And in fact, in our internal show notes, I have shared an image that I believe was posted years ago and taken down from the artist, pinball artist, Christopher Franchi, of a version of art he did for a mock-up of a translite for Goldfinger. And looking at that and looking at what they've done, to me, is very hard to say, I can't imagine most people wouldn't look and go, wow, the Franchi art package is a lot better.
I agree.
I mean, I think it's extremely improved over what they ended up doing. And, it is what it is. I don't make decisions on buying or not buying games based off of art. So what do you think about the art of the playfield?
The playfield is a complaint that is actually, for me, unusual to put on a Stern game. It is way too busy.
And as near as I can understand from people, the way they seem to have laid it out is it's kind of like, because they're merging all these Connery movies. Like, they got different shots are representing different movies. And I'm kind of like, to me, maybe part of the art issue is that there's a blend there, but there's a lot of floating heads.
It is nothing but floating heads.
It's very Photoshop. It's very Photoshop era.
Here's all the ally floating heads. Here's the henches floating heads.
And then you've got the movie floating rectangles in the middle. It's just, I can get it, pinball, lots of inserts, I understand, but so many faces around so many of them, it feels like the Photoshop era where we just cut and paste faces everywhere. I mean, at least they're associated with actual things, but it's busy. I don't love it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
It feels kind of 90s to me, actually.
But not necessarily in a good way.
No, like a Daddy East way.
Yeah. It's just, when I saw the playfield initially, I was just not huge on it.
Now, the layout looks like it might be fun. I really, again, I've not explored the layout a whole lot. Obviously, I've seen at least 3 flippers. The rocket ship shot, and I know on the premium, it seems like they've got wireforms and stuff, so that's like a pretty intricate ball lock. Plus, the premium model has the James Bond on a jetpack, and there's like a target above on top of a toy or something, where it appears that the jetpack's designed to let you almost crane style pick up the ball, and then you're to drop it on a target. I mean, those are some pretty interesting mech ideas.
Right.
That could be a lot of fun. So I'm very curious about how this, I have a high degree of confidence that this will play pretty well. It looks like it's an interesting shooter. It doesn't look clunky to me but it also looks, fairly unique, like that ramp shot that upper flipper allows you to accommodate. I mean, I'd say the least interesting part is probably the upper right, like pop bumper inlane thing, but that's, a standard area that you'd have on most pinball machines.
Right.
So, I do wonder whether or not we've taken too much space for the rocket up top, but it looks kind of loopy and flowy. So that could be fun on the Pro.
It's going to depend upon how it actually flows.
And we thought we'd have seen some gameplay by now, but we haven't.
Right.
And so I can't, likewise, I have no opinion on what the sounds are or anything, or the displays, because we haven't seen any of that. So, so far my impression is the game may very well be fun. It has some, I think, interesting looking shots that I really want to see in action. Art package is a miss. Of course, that's not unique for, sometimes Stern games are misses on art, and we often assume it's when there are really stringent requirements from the license holder.
Yeah.
I have
to,
kind of, well,
you only live twice, and Dr. No are the weird choices for me.
It's hard for me, and I know Dr. No is actually rated fairly well on like Rotten Tomatoes, but it's hard for me not to get the impression looking at the Pro and being like, wow, they really wanted to try and make you pick the premium, didn't they? Just with the art. I mean, like, it's not, when people talk about Sean Connery and his James Bond films, the ones I always hear people talk about are Goldfinger and Thunderball. It sure ain't Dr. No, like the low budget Bond, because they didn't have a lot of money for that movie.
Because when I think Connery, it's Goldfinger and Thunderball.
Mm-hmm. I think they're the most famous.
And those are the ones I've seen. I mean, I've seen them all.
Yeah.
But of the Connery era, those are the ones I've seen the most.
Now, here's an interesting point of discussion. People have been able to, I guess, zoom in on the rules card on some of these images, and it appears there's a wizard mode on Her Majesty's Secret Service. So there's speculation as, okay, you've got all the Eon Productions Connery Bonds represented in this game. However, on Her Majesty's Secret Service, so George Lazenby played Bond. happened before Diamonds Are Forever. So
Right.
Sean Connery was the one time where they did Bond films, and then he took a break and he came back for one more. Not counting, obviously, the unofficial non-Eon Never Say Never Again
Right.
Thunderball remake. So given that, some people are wondering, is there actually going to be a mode where we get, like, if you get into Wizard, you get to play and the screen will do Lazenby, because Lazenby ain't in the playfield art. I've also seen rumors that it's going to focus on Blofeld and not have Lazenby in that Wizard mode at all.
Which would really make sense considering Lazenby's recent stint in the news in Australia.
Yeah, but I just don't know if Stern can pivot quick enough based off of recent stints.
Very, very true. But, and for those who don't know, Lazenby was taking part in a stage production of the musical stuff and doing an interview and talking about his time, and said stuff that would be considered very in politic and very, very, very sexist, and ended up being booed off stage.
Oh, the interview was on the stage?
Yes.
Okay.
It was a live interview he was doing on stage in front of like a bunch of ticket holders for this whole concert. And it got to the point where, he was booed off stage. He's been removed completely from the tour.
Oh, wow.
Everybody who was at that.
I heard something had happened, but I haven't
Yes.
read up on it. Okay.
Yeah, it was, I've read excerpts from some of the things he said, and they're pretty bad.
Okay. Well, all right. Maybe edit that code. Hey, he's not in the art, so easy enough. All right. Well, that's all I really had to say about James Bond, because again, we don't have the
know
reveal.
anything.
We know that they've said the prices they've told the distributors that all 3 model prices are going up from where we've been at with Rush and
$20,000
with Rush and Godzilla. So we'll see how much. Some people are hoping it's back to the old $100 to $200. I don't know, given what inflation's been, that's going to be that low.
I don't think it will be. I think it'll be a much larger.
We'll see. I mean, because likewise, they don't have their head in the sand. They know what happened with Toy Story 4 and that pricing.
If I had to guess, I would say everything would move up basically a section. So I would guess that the current premium price would be the new Pro price.
$9,000.
The current LE price would be the new premium price.
Okay.
Basically.
I can't. I'm going to say I don't think they move pros to $9,000.
You don't think they'll move them that high?
Not that high, no. In fact, I don't think they'll go up 1,000. They took a lot of heat for raising them 900 last year, and they blamed 400 of that on Insider Connected. So I could see them going up another 900 maybe, and blaming.
So you don't think
all
they'd
on
move it
inflation.
up the full 1,000?
And even then, that would still be under premium. I mean, I don't remember what the current MSRP is exactly on a Pro. I just don't know. If there's a market for $9,000 Pros, even with inflation. I don't know. But I could be wrong. I mean, we're going to be talking about another game that I think has sticker shocked a lot of people, and it's about 9,500. So $68.99.
$68.9. It won't go up that high.
So yeah. So if it goes up 1,000, it's still under 8.
Yeah.
I just don't see it going to 9.
You're probably
Now your
right.
argument of the premium maybe going from 9 to like 11.
I can see that, but they're not going. The Pro's not going to go that high. For some reason, I was thinking the Pro was higher than it is. For some reason, I was thinking the Pro prices were closer to 8 than they actually are. So they might go up 75 to 75 or somewhere in that range.
Yeah, it's just I think Stern really wants to be able to say that they didn't raise the Pros by 1,000. I think they're going to really try. And again, even though inflation's been a lot worse this year, last year price increase was because of the new tech in part.
Right.
So if they need to now basically take that tech increase and add it onto and say, okay, it's another 900. That's where I think on the upper end for the Pro. Premium LE, especially, it's trickier with those because they could argue that they're putting in more toys or something to justify that cost. But with Pros, they and clearly with the photos we've seen of the Pro, they can't argue that here.
No, not at all.
It's stripped as you expect. So speaking of stripped, let's go ahead and move on to Homepin. Hey, Homepin, known for Thunderbirds Are Go. But now,
are they really known for
I think so. Whenever I talk to people about Homepin, that's the one thing anyone knows about them is they did Thunderbirds Are Go. Most famed pinball machine possibly of all time, maybe.
I would say it's probably the most famous Australian pinball machine.
Some Australians would argue that that is not an Australian company, but that is a debate we are not going to have. Instead, what we're going to talk about is Spinal Tap, or This Is Spinal Tap Pinball, which was revealed in Australia at Newcastle Pinfest, as expected. I have a link in the show notes to Nap Arcade's coverage of this, which you may want to go and check out because there is a clip of gameplay. And taking a page from Stern, why not have a potato provide gameplay? So that's what we've got. But we do actually have gameplay. It's like 45-second clip. Maybe half of that time is actually gameplay. The price, US price, is $9,495. Now, I don't know if you've taken a look at this yet or not.
I'm looking at it
if you
as we speak.
Go and look at the link because they're images. I mean, sometimes I wonder if people feel, Tony, that we're too mean to companies. Do you think people feel we're too mean? Do you think we're too mean?
No, I don't think we're too mean.
I don't think we're too mean. I think we're fair but firm with all companies. If people thought we were Stern fanboys, I don't think we were very kind to the reveal of Bond. And I'm afraid I can't be kind to this because it doesn't deserve it. This makes the James Bond art look like a smart move. The cab is okay. Simple Spinal Tap logos, British, Union Jack. I'm okay with that. Simple's good. Simple's fine. The playfield with the heads in the middle, just floating there. I mean, we were joking a little bit about the old Photoshop era, which Stern has a renowned Photoshop era in the early 2000s, basically like 2000 to 2010. This looks like someone, like baby's first Photoshop experience, going in and throwing together they downloaded the free virtual pin software and they didn't want to spend a lot of time on the art, but they wanted to make the themes really clear. So, you just you load the Paragon layout or whatever, and you just plaster down some art. That's what this looks like. It is ugly, in my opinion. This is an incredibly ugly looking art package on the playfield. The decision to do the DMD with the LCD is super weird. And my impression I'm getting from that extremely brief clip that was included is all of the information, everything about the game is on the DMD. The LCD appears to only exist to play clips from the movie. And that's it.
Why?
Because that's what people want now, Tony. We need clips. People want to, remember, people get upset. You go and you buy, that's why we wanted Guardians, so we get to watch the clips, and then you go and you get Jurassic Park, and you're sad because you don't get the clips. You just get stupid computer dinosaurs that aren't even cool. But here you go. You get Spinal, you want to watch them. It's almost like someone read Pinside and is like, hey, what's the least effort I could do to meet all of their needs? Okay, I need a DVD player in my game that just plays Spinal Tap with no sound on the display. And then I'm going to use a DMD because I don't want to learn how to program a display to do pinball stuff.
Here's the thing.
This is my read.
I already thought Spinal Tap was a terrible choice.
It's a very cult classic film.
Yes. There are plenty of cult classic films out there. That doesn't make them not terrible choices.
But this one goes to 11.
Buckaroo Banzai, but 11. I understand that a Buckaroo Banzai machine would be terrible.
11.
No matter how awesome it would be.
11.
I understand. It's 11.
It goes to it. And don't you see those inserts in the middle?
I don't.
They go 1, 2, 3,
tells
5, 7,
me it
9,
goes
10,
to 11.
and then in the middle it says 11. Though I think in the movie 11 was just another notch on the knob.
And the topper is just hot garbage.
That topper could go with anything. I've heard massive praise for that topper. That topper could go on Halloween. That topper could go on Toy Story 4. That topper could maybe go on James Bond. Think about it. I want you to think about it.
Oh, I've thought about it.
What about this layout? You get a good shot of the layout in the flyer on the Nap Arcade article.
You can. I mean, you can't zoom in very much because it's like 4 pixels.
I've heard I believe I've read some comparisons that parts of the layout are very reminiscent of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh,
Okay, well, there's the scoop on the far left. I get that.
it's got flippers.
It's got the couple ramps there, and
I don't know. We'll have to see how it plays.
and the pops are kind of in the middle.
I don't know, but here's the thing.
Oh, the reports of how Tony, because it's at that Pin Fest. The reports are coming in floaty and weak. And if you were to watch the video, there is one shot on a ramp that you see, and it seems that the ramp opening is way too big. Regardless, the ball just rattles, trying to get, but it can't be, even though the shot's hit with a lot of power, appears to be hit with a lot of power, the ball just rattles and loses all its momentum as it bounces from wall to wall. You know, like how you want in a ramp shot.
Exactly.
Baby's first ramp shot.
You don't want things crisp and smooth and satisfying.
And I'm assuming some listeners may not know this, so I'll just clarify, even though they don't get to see any of the images, at least not maybe when I retire from doing all of this. So when I say baby's first, I actually, as Tony is aware, for years I make like meme images of baby's first pinball things. And I started with it years ago with baby's first live catch. I think it was I
think live catch was the first one.
I think it was. And then I've done a lot about games. Now I don't post them on our Facebook and stuff because I fear some people would find them too mean. So I haven't put them out. I mean, I've shared them like on Discords and stuff, but I haven't put them out broadly. But I have a whole series of baby's first. A whole series of them. And so this one might have to be baby's first ramp shot. I haven't decided yet if I want to invest time making a baby's first for Spinal Tap, but I'm tempted. But I'm just like, oh my God, the reaction to this is, I will say there's one thing. Most of the people who've commented, even if they haven't been pleased, do seem to feel that the game is superior in terms of build, layout, don't know about rules, to Thunderbirds. But that $9,500 price point is like killing any interest in this.
Isn't that basically what they increased the cost of the new run of TNAs to?
It's $500 more than TNA.
So why would you possibly get this over TNA? The only reason I can think of where you would not choose TNA and $500 in your pocket over this machine is if you already own TNA. And then you might do it anyway.
I mean,
because it'd be better owning
when
this
you get a chance to play the little short clip, and it's so.
Oh, I played the clip.
Right, no, I mean with the audio.
Oh, yeah.
Because the game sounds like an '80s game. Like it's like a pew 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 pew. I mean, some people like classic sounds like that. I like them in classic games.
Well, this game's pretending to be classic.
It's got too many ramps to pretend to be properly classic. I'm just saying. Look,
but you don't understand.
I don't know.
It goes to 11. It's Spinal Tap. Everyone loves the Spinal Tap.
I guess. I
can't tell you the last time I watched Spinal Tap, and I have no desire to watch it because it's never been my cult movie.
Right. No, I don't. I really don't care about the theme. But that's fine. If the game played incredibly, it would be different. If the game was priced under a Stern Pro, I think even with all the concerns, it could move units. This gets back to when I touched on whether or not Homepin is an Australian company or not. But we talked about this when we did our Survivor episode and talked about the survivability of manufacturers. What is the point of a company being based first in People's Republic of China, now being based out of Taiwan, if you can't get the build cost down to a point where you're actually competitive on the pricing? $9,500 for this is not competitive. This is going to be compared to a Stern Pro. It's a company that does not have a good reputation for building well. And given that, it's just, we don't know the new pricing yet, but for the current pricing, Rush, Godzilla, I hate to keep going back to it, but this is more than a premium. So that's what we're going to compare it to, is the Stern Premium. Would you rather have this or Godzilla Premium? I mean, come on.
Really?
Come on. That's part of the problem with TNA 2.0 is it's priced the same. This is priced more. And this is where, and haggis is the same. This is the boat that everyone out of North America is in. Unless you're trying to be a regional provider, you are really putting yourself behind the 8 ball, in my opinion, when you base your build out of the US, base outside of the US, because the shipping and everything else to get it over to where the largest pinball market is an obstacle that you have, that JJP, Multimorphic, Stern, American Pinball, they don't have that problem. I thought Mike with Homepin's whole thing, though, was he's going to have access to the cheaper labor pool of China, and that would be able to help offset some of these like transport costs and things. It sure ain't showing here.
Definitely.
So
not.
your one advantage by basing yourself where there is no inherent knowledge on how to build pinball machines, a labor force has no familiarity, a labor force that doesn't know what pinball is because it's never been a big thing there, is nothing. You gained absolutely nothing. Like, what would it have cost if he built it in the US? Because he's got the cheap labor to still price it and he's pricing it at $9,500. I don't get it. Here's my theory. I'm going to double that. I'm going to triple down. I'm going to quadruple down. This is Homepin's last pinball machine. I don't see the point in continuing after that. They might continue as a company. I'm not saying they're not going to survive further. If this is the best you can do, this is the game. In fact, here's a rumor. This is not a rumor corner rumor. Here's a rumor. Because people are like, who designed this? And you might recall, Tony, because we talked about it way back, was the reports that Homepin brought in Joe Balser after he left American Pinball.
Right.
I have read an allegation, not saying this is true, allegation that Balser came in to work on the game and that he was told that, oh, you're going to use this layout.
Then what's the point?
I don't know. If that's true, I don't know if that meant he got to tweak some stuff or what, because he's known for doing layouts. So I don't know what that means. But it didn't seem like he was there very long. So it was weird. I just remember it was real weird because it was like a hot minute. He was associated with Homepin, and then all of a sudden he's not associated with Homepin anymore. This wouldn't be the first company where I've gotten the vibe that the owner thinks they know better than everyone else.
No, I mean, that's almost a requirement to be in pinball.
It seems that way. The sheer arrogance of all these people that are terrible at building on all this stuff just absolutely flabbergasts me. But I guess this is the hobby you go to when you can't build anything else. So maybe I shouldn't be surprised. Baby's first manufacturing gig. Yay! It's so exciting. So, okay. That's all I had on Homepin and Spinal Tap. Unless you've got any final thoughts. Final thoughts with Tony. I'm laughing because he's sitting up, he's throwing his hair back like Cameron Diaz and Charlie's Angels, and he's at the mic.
I think that Homepin has managed to unite people in such a way to thinking puppets are even worse than they were, into thinking that one of those cult classics might actually be worse than they remember. And it definitely cost more than anything bit of enjoyable you can get in life for that kind of price. So my final thoughts are that I think you could very well be right. This may be the last pinball game we get from Homepin, provided they care about the people. Otherwise, they'll come up with some other stupid thing that'll be terrible.
They haven't postponed over the Queen. Why is the cell phone footage the only footage I have of the gameplay? In a way, I get it, because Homepin has seemed to be really public, like, it's the distributor's job to sell my games, not me. But, oh, wow, well, you're clearly not trying very hard to sell them, because it's like, where's the good footage? Where's a good player with a good camera? I'm not asking for like Twitch 3 camera angles with 12,000 lights hooked up. I'm just like, I'm just asking for something that's not 40 seconds long. Half of it's not gameplay, with a shaky potato and It just doesn't make your game look good at all.
You and I have each put together a completely separate, decent pinball streaming rig. It costs nothing. It would cost nothing to put it together, take some good images, some good video. It costs nothing to take a machine and have decent pictures done of it in this day and age. And they still haven't done it.
I don't know.
It's not, and the entire, oh, my distributors need to sell this for me thing is like such a 70s and 80s vibe of doing business that it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah,
why you would think that would be a route to go.
I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, that's Spinal Tap. Yay. Let's briefly move to American Pinball. So, don't have a lot of news. Reports are sometime, I don't know when it was going to happen this month. The tailgate party, like associated with CoinTaker, American Pinball is not going to have Nordman's game at it. Sounds like they're going to talk a little bit about some of the aspects of it, but not reveal it. In fact,
talk about how it folds into a tank.
I don't know if they're going to finally admit that part or not, but I also heard that there was an indication that they're at least 3 months out on the game. So it sounds like it's not going to drop this year, given if I do my math, like it would be close.
Yeah.
It'd be maybe December.
Yeah. It'd be one of those.
If that's true.
Yeah. It'd be like the movies that drop like on Christmas Day just to be sure that they get locked in for the Emmys.
Mm-hmm. But what I wanted to mention wasn't actually that. I'm just touching on that since we're briefly talking about American Pinball. But we got an email to eclecticgamerspodcast@gmail.com after our discussion on the survivability of companies about American Pinball. Now, I'm not going to read the email. And the main reason I'm not is the email came to me from someone who claimed that the original email source, who I do not know, was someone associated with, at least at one point, American Pinball. But because I don't know that's true, I can only consider this an allegation from a purported source. And there's no way for me to verify that it actually is coming from anyone who has ever tied to that company or close to that company in some capacity. So because of that lack of ability to verify, I don't want to go out even noting that these are allegations into specificity when I can't be sure of the source. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But so let me just go ahead and say I despise doing interviews. You and I know
There's a reason we haven't done them in a long time.
A long time. If someone who has been with American Pinball wants to come on and talk about what is actually going on in American Pinball, we'll set something up. We can do it.
Yep.
So I'll throw that out there. So that said, because I also feel that because we do a podcast on pinball, and our number one concern has always been, I think, to respect the consumer and respect and protect their wallet. We're not in the business of trying to keep manufacturers alive. That is not our responsibility. They need to run their own businesses. I get worried when honestly, we're just podcasters. It's a little concerning when you see manufacturers and they seem to start doing stuff based off of what they hear on the podcasts. And it's like, I don't know if that's the model you want to go with. Maybe get yourself some good, real paid advisors.
Yeah. Might not be a bad idea. Maybe do some market research.
This email, purportedly from someone who was close to American Pinball, at least at one point, is deeply troubling to me. There are a number of allegations about misrepresentations to the public about what's going on at the company. There are allegations of some touching on some of the things that we brought up in the last episode where it felt really top heavy, like in terms of designers and stuff, like that they don't have enough of the right types of people to actually move forward with all of these very bold claims that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also that it's not the best work environment, like maybe again, allegedly sort of a toxic work environment. So I'm going to note all that because people may have money in on some of these games or been thinking about buying some of these games. I don't know if these allegations are true or not. We got some, and it's a laundry list. You've seen the email.
I have.
There are some serious allegations that are in it. So I'm going to note that we received something that makes some serious allegations, but I don't want to go into the specifics because I don't know who the source of it is.
Right. Even knowing the source, it would depend upon their comfort level with going into
my
things
source
like
that got me this information has been very reliable, but my source is not the source.
Correct.
This is secondhand. So if someone who is or was with American Pinball wants to and is comfortable talking about it, you feel free to reach out to us, and I'll make an exception and we can do an interview. Even if it's just me doing it separate and dropping it in the show, because it can be difficult to work around our schedules. But I mean, I'm more than willing to have the conversation, but I think something to this degree needs to have a name tied to it.
Yes.
Unless I had multiple sources.
I agree.
We're not journalists. This is a hobby podcast. We don't put ourselves out to be journalists, but I do try and, I don't want to.
I would be uncomfortable going forward without names or multiple sources, or preferably both.
Right. Because it was
just,
to me, there's a big difference between us saying we like what this company did or we don't like their decision they seem to make, and here's how we think the decision making worked, versus saying, you know what, this is what's happening at a company, and we're just going to start making claims and even tacking on allegedly on it. That only so far I'm willing to be comfortable going, because it's not my goal to just torch a company either. If you make a decision as a company and I think it's a bad decision, I'm going to say it.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to say it. But this is going in too deep down the rabbit hole for we to be able to judge from the outside. So anyway, but just FYI, folks, emails like this make me think maybe I put them still too high on the list, sort of stuff. So it's time for Rumor Corner, Tony.
Rumor.
Rumor Corner. Rumor Corner. Rumor Corner. Rumor Corner. Rumor Corner. Dennis Creasel's got the news before Napa Cave. Is that right, Tony? Yeah.
This rumor is about Mark Silk. He did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for Stern Pinball. Some of the voices, I think 5 or so. He does Splinter. Yes. I know he does Splinter. We've talked with him several times, in fact.
Cool guy.
So this rumor is about him and pinball. And that is that he is doing Scooby-Doo pinball voice work. Now, I know he has a Scooby because I've heard him do it. In fact, I think he does Scooby-Doo stuff over for like the UK at least. So here's where the rumor part of this gets interesting, because obviously you'd be like, well, yeah, Mark can do Scooby, so it'd be an easy rumor to make up. Here's the thing. The report that came to me said they heard on another pinball podcast, like they were running through his credits, and a person had said that Mark Silk Scooby-Doo pinball, like they listed it in the resume list. It wasn't Mark doing the listing, it was someone else. And the podcast has since been edited to take that reference out. So I did not hear the podcast. I did not hear this original audio. Someone else wrote in, though, and claimed they did hear it. So that's why it's in Rumor Corner.
Interesting.
What are your thoughts about? I mean, we've long discussed the rumor that Spooky is doing Scooby-Doo.
I mean, yeah, though that's one of those rumors that everyone just assumes is real at this point.
Right. It fits into their broad kind of spooky theme.
Right.
They've done other cartoons. I mean, they did that custom job for Jetsons.
Yeah.
No, and Mark could do Scooby.
Yeah, he could very well. And I think he'd be a good choice for it. So go for it if it's real. And if it's not, interesting.
So did it rumor-tain you?
I'm always rumor-tain.
That's good. Not everyone is. Once again, someone has posted on Pinside, not understanding why I keep saying rumor-tained. As if I'm going to change it. I'm not. Because it rumor-tains me. That's the point. That's the whole point.
It's my podcast. It doesn't have to be funny to you as long as it's funny to me.
It's funny to everyone, except some. But that's all rumor-taining can give you. All right, video games, Tony. We're done rumor-taining.
Video games exist. So we're going to talk about companies making bad decisions.
Our favorite topic ever in all fields. We're so negative sometimes.
Actually, most of these decisions are not bad. Blizzard has confirmed Overwatch 2, which is coming out on October 4th.
Yep.
Free to play. Free to play. Has 4 new characters in it, 3 of whom will be available at launch to people who converted Overwatch 1 accounts to Overwatch 2. Otherwise, you will have to unlock those 3 new characters in their battle system. And the 4th character that it will be unlockable for everybody behind their new Battle Pass system.
Battle Pass. Everyone loves Battle Pass. Don't you all have Battle Pass?
Yeah. You've got Battle Pass, right? So Battle Pass is their new system that has 2 tiers. There's the free tier and the premium tier that cost money to build up and unlock skins and various other things because they got rid of loot boxes. Thank you. And are going to a system where you can unlock some things for free. Or if you want something, you can just purchase the one item you want instead of buying random loot box crap.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are annoyed because A, this new character still has not officially been released. It was leaked.
Right.
But B, the Battle Pass system for the Season 1 Battle Pass has 80 levels. And this new character will get unlocked at level 55.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the way through. And from what they've said is the characters that are when the game first goes active, none of the new characters will be playable in competitive play.
Okay.
All of the new characters will be playable in other game modes, but not competitive play because they are still performing balance tweaks. And then they will be brought into competitive play once they finish those tweaks. But if you don't want to wait, if you don't want to build your battle pass up to 55, you can spend 1,000 Overwatch coins,
Clink, clink,
which
clink.
is $10, roughly, to get immediate access to the new character. In addition, Overwatch 1 servers are going completely offline.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch 1 is completely dead and removed as of October 2nd, with Overwatch 2 going live and active on October 4th. So, I don't know if you have converted your Overwatch 1 stuff to Overwatch 2 yet.
It did the merge thing.
I've not done any of the merge stuff because I deleted everything.
I know you did.
So,
Because you've been rebelling against your favorite multiplayer game.
yes,
Just accept it. There's now going to be a Fox Girl
See,
at level 55.
At level 55, you can get a Fox Girl. It's a reason to come back. But not yet.
Not yet. Not like
Also,
this. Not
for interesting free-to-play conversations,
Oh.
this bit of note came to me originally from the best source I've ever had. My daughter, who was very annoyed and then got over it.
I was very, very upset. But now it's fine.
She likes playing The Sims 4.
Okay. A lot of people do.
And not that long ago,
Don't you all have Sims?
she purchased it earlier this year. She's been playing it. She enjoys it. Well, they've made the announcement. The base game for Sims 4 is going free to play on October 18th.
Battle Pass.
Battle Pass. No, they're actually going to maintain the DLC system. So what it is the base game will be free to play, but you still have to purchase the DLCs and install the DLCs. So they bring you in with your little do your little burn your house down, and it's like, oh, that's cute. I want to get that cute little building house bedroom set. Oh, that's in this specific like Fantasyland YIF DLC. So I have to buy that DLC now. That's $15. So
Okay.
that's the route they're going. Now they are going to give the newest DLC, the one that is just coming out, to everybody who owns the base game before October 7th, which is the Desert Luxe kit for those people who like the American Southwest styling. My daughter was mildly annoyed that she bought the game and then it was going to go free to play. And then she read on and found that they were getting the
the desert.
They were gonna get free DLC. And she's like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, that's fine.
they get the cacti.
They get the cacti to go with their other stuff. So I remember when the first Sims game came out, and it was
I did play
everywhere.
the first one. Yeah.
And then they just kept going and going and going. I think with the kind of gaming models we see most of the days anymore, going to this kind of model for Sims 4 makes a lot of sense because it lets them keep the base game as their primary thing and just keep making DLCs, which since they're not really adding a whole lot other than, art assets, it's got to be cheap for them to keep cranking stuff out.
Yeah.
So there was also a major Nintendo Direct.
A huge one. And I guess it kind of surprised people, like a short notice on it.
It was kind of short notice, and it was, I think, bigger than most people expected considering everything. It was the Farming Sims Direct.
Ooh.
Where they talked about all of Nintendo's new farming sims that are coming out. They actually talked about a lot of stuff. They talked about there's a brand new Fire Emblem game coming out. They gave us all the important information for the new Breath of the Wild sequel, which is going to be called Tears of the Kingdom. And
Tears of the Tamed. That's what I wanted them to call it.
It's also The Legend of Zelda, a farming sim. And it's coming out on May 12th. They announced Pikmin 4, which has my wife very excited. She loves the Pikmin games.
Pikmin, deeply popular.
They announced Octopath Traveler 2, which Octopath Traveler was one of those early surprise huge hits on the Switch. They announced a new GoldenEye.
But the Queen...
They didn't care.
Apparently, video games get to do what they want.
Yeah. They're Japan. They can do what they want.
I thought we as Americans got to do what we want.
They were never vassals of the Queen.
I do want to point out, like, the day after her death, I went to CNN's website, and I was just like, and I've whined about this. This is a Dennis thing. Guys, fast forward if you hate this. You don't have to put up with it. But I was just like, why? We've been liberated from the United Kingdom as a colony for over 200 years at this point, well over 200. Why is it that we remain, in my view, completely obsessed with everything about the royal family? Like every birth, every wedding, every divorce, and now apparently every funeral becomes wall-to-wall coverage. The front page screen stuff included hit topics like, what happens with the Queen's corgis? And I was like, surely they're burying them with her, right? Like, that's how we honor. That's how we honor. Apparently, no. That was not what happened. Because I didn't read the article, but there was a follow-up 1 day later explaining what was actually happening with her dogs.
You want to know what's really disturbing?
What? What is really disturbing?
The coverage of the Queen on CNN is bigger and heavier than on BBC. On BBC, it's huge. It's the header.
Right.
And there's like one big story and a live timeline where you can pull it up, and every time they put out some new little blurb or there's some new little note or some new little video, it will pop up continuously, and it eats like the top section of the screen. And then everything else is regular news from around the world.
And that's the thing where, again, and I get it because it's not America either, but like, I thought it was stupid that I had to scroll to find out what was going on in Ukraine. That's what annoyed me. I'm like, I want to know about this big Ukraine counteroffensive, and I'm having to scroll past dogs. And I like dogs.
I know.
But I shouldn't have to scroll past dogs to read about what's going on with Ukraine.
I know. You shouldn't have to.
Anyway. All right. So, GoldenEye coming out.
GoldenEye.
Going to come out on Microsoft stuff, but only local co-op. Nintendo Switch, though, is going to get online co-op.
Which is
pretty clever.
Very interesting. I know GoldenEye was one of those like classic Nintendo.
See, I didn't play it.
I didn't either.
It wasn't a touchstone for me because I didn't have that system. But
for a lot of people, it is a touchstone. But they made a bunch of announcements. There's new Pokemon related color coded Nintendo Switches coming out for the 2 new Pokemon games being released just before the Pokemon games come out. There's a new 6 five farming sims to go with the like 6 farming sims that have already come out this year.
Wow.
Because they're releasing a game that's called Harvestella, which actually looks kind of cool. It's kind of a farming sim / Final Fantasy combat-y type.
Okay, I saw some of the footage of this and I thought it looked really weird.
It does. It looks kind of cool. There's Rune Factory 3 Special, another new Rune Factory game coming out, Fae Farm, Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, and there's been like a ton of other ones that have already come. This is like the year of the farm sim for some reason. It's like everybody saw just how popular Stardew Valley was a few years ago and everything, and they've been working on stuff in the background. I know Final Fantasy 14 just released, like you can have your own little island that you can farm on and stuff as an addition that is part of Final Fantasy 14 now. You have your own little, it's becoming a whole thing. But no, I think the big thing to me has got to be The Legend of the Zelda information.
Yep.
That's what everybody's been waiting for.
And they gave a date. So
right. So everybody knows what they're aiming for now. The other thing is there was a few more things on Bayonetta 3, which comes out in like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks.
Those are very
it's early October.
I haven't played the Bayonettas. I know they're very popular.
I really enjoyed the Bayonetta games
in terms of the mechanics and stuff. So
yeah, they've got some fun mechanics for that type of game. I don't know if I'll get this one. I do have my Switch has been returned to me.
Oh,
I do have my own Switch again, I think.
Why are you unsure
somewhere.
about this Bayonetta then, if you've got the Switch?
I barely play anything anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I was just thinking about that I actually started 4 different games the other day, and I didn't get past the intro on any of them. I was just like, 2 of them I quit out on I saw the load cinematic. I'm like, nope, don't think I like it.
Yeah, because
I got piles of free games, and I'm just like, yeah, nope.
I am playing at this moment. I still play an occasional game of Nova Drift because they're fairly quick and enjoyable. And it's something I can just get up and walk away from and I don't matter. I did pick up a new game yesterday that I've played a little bit of. It's early access. It looks beautiful, but I don't know if it's going to become anything. It was like $9. And then I still play Battletech. Surprise.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very heavily modded Battletech game on occasion. And I've started playing an extremely heavily modified Xenonauts game. But only on occasion. And those are all games that I can walk away from in the middle of a game with no issue.
Right.
So I just don't have the kind of game time that I used to have. And hopefully one of these days it will return to me.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I'm going to just be more picky on what I spend.
You gotta be picky. You did another tot. You did a watch.
I did a watch.
That's
tot.
not a game.
It was a game. It was a lot of fun. I had a link in the show notes
for people.
I had a good time. You tried to force me into choosing the Rolex. You tried to force it. Didn't happen.
I did. We had a lot of people. We had more Canadians. We got Canada's coming out in force.
Canada is strong on the watch market.
You interacted with Zach.
I did.
I told him well after the recording that, in response when I had shared with you that he was very concerned, privately expressed concerns because he didn't know anything about watches to do a tot. That you had told me that doesn't stop him in pinball, so why should it stop him in anything else?
I'm an asshole.
Well,
now you got to
bleep. And it didn't stop him. Yeah, I do. I have to beep.
But it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. You cut the video with me being all gestury and being.
Yeah, that was a good time to stop it.
That was a perfect time to stop it. It was great. One of these days, you'll pick cool watches.
Maybe I have more requests for specific ones to be done from people. So.
You had some good watches.
So
in there.
People have given me some suggestions on what to cover.
I mean, some of the watches you picked were really good. I liked the the tank versus reverso. That
Oh
I
my
thought
God.
that was
Everyone, the viewers are like, why don't you pick some round watches? Why do you have to be weird? So, maybe next time we'll only do round ones. Okay. Sorry.
Sorry for picking
Sorry
a single
for picking,
one that's
sorry for picking elegance.
yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry for picking quality and high end.
Sorry for
And-
picking dress stuff.
None of us wear dresses. Why are you
Don't
picking
you all
dress
have
watch?
tuxedos? Well, anyway, that's it for the show. So if you want to write into us, as I've noted earlier, you can do eclecticgamerspodcast@gmail.com. You can also go to facebook.com/eclecticgamerspodcast and use the messenger thing.
We are available on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram as eclectic_gamers.
And maybe in 2 weeks, we'll be back and actually have the real James Bond reveal, or maybe Stern will keep pushing it. I don't know.
They're going to put out, this is Spinal Tap 2.
Yes.
That'll be announced.
It'll be as popular as Grease 2 was.
Grease 2. So good.
It's a word. I heard.
It's a word. It's a word.
But until
Grease
next
2,
time.
cruise control.
Yes. Oh, yeah. They should do speed. Anyway, until next time, I'm Dennis.
I'm Tony.
Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.